The side chain of an amino acid designated by capital letter R gives each amino acid its unique identity and characteristics. In the side chain, we have 9 families of organic functional groups represented: the alkanes, which your textbook refers to as hydrocarbon, aromatics, thioethers, alcohols, phenols, thiols, amides, carboxylic acids, and amines. So even in the side chain, there can be a carboxylic acid and an amine. These side groups allow the amino acids to be classified as nonpolar, polar, acidic, or basic. And the distinction between nonpolar and polar is pretty important. Remember, nonpolar means hydrophobic and polar means hydrophilic. So this side chain, whether it's nonpolar or polar, will define how it interacts with water. With a few exceptions, the side chains of nonpolar amino acids are composed entirely of carbon and hydrogen. So table 10.1 of your textbook lists the 20 common amino acids. It has a ball and stick figure as well as a structural formula. In the structural formula, the part of an amino acid that is the same for each, the amino, the carboxylic acid, the hydrogen, all bonded to the alpha carbon, is shaded as in pink, whereas the side chain is shaded in blue. And we can see that the nonpolar amino acids, the first 6 of them listed here, all have side chains that are only carbon and hydrogen, except for glycine, which has that side chain of hydrogen. Methionine and tryptophan are 2 nonpolar side chains that actually have heteroatoms. Sulfur has the same electronegativity as carbon, so this side chain of methionine remains nonpolar even though it has a heteroatom. And tryptophan is nonpolar even though it has an electronegative nitrogen. There are so many other carbons and hydrogens that the overall impact of the side chain is nonpolar or hydrophobic. Polar amino acids have side chains that contain functional groups with an electronegative atom, such as oxygen or nitrogen, and some of the polar side chains can be acidic, meaning they have a carboxylic acid group, or basic, which means they have an amino acid. And that means that those side chains are also charged, which allows them to have form salt bridges with one another or an ion dipole interaction with water. So table 10.1 lists the polar amino acids that are neutral. So that includes side chains that have an alcohol functional group, or a phenyl side group, or a thiol side group. 2 amino acids have an amide functional group, which is a carbonyl carbon bonded to an amino group. There are also amino acids that have a carboxylic acid side group. These are known as polar acidic amino acids. And then there are 3 that have basic side groups, and those are protonated, and so they have a positive charge. And the carboxylic acid amino acids in the side chain are negatively charged.